Gather the black lick. So here's what I'm gonna acknowledge, guys. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't think I needed to fight those moose again. Why? Because I'm looking down and like, while I don't exactly remember having this quest, visually, I do remember the UI looking the exact same. So I'm gonna go with I actually did a little bit of an ooga booga. Wow, my tongue, guys. I think salt can burn your tongue. I'm gonna be honest here, because this really, I really feel like this bamboozled me a little. Okay, now talk to the sugar plum sherry. I gotta be honest here. Why couldn't they call it the sugar plum fairy? Like, I mean, unless it's like, I mean, I understand it's meant to be a joke, but it's also like, what's sherry?
Welcome.
Because it's like, that's not, there's no way the sugar plum fairy is not copy, right? Okay, guys, what's his name? Shakespeare. Shakespeare's dead. Dance the sugar plum fairy. That doesn't even, I don't even think that has to do with Shakespeare. I don't even know what it has to do with, okay? Go to the logging camp warehouse in black licorice. Oh, okay. Guys, oh, this is where Nana's gonna be like, hey, wizard, you better stop. And I'll be like, why do I have 154 damage? Is that more or less? Drink some water, because 3 salt packets is a lot. Okay, bet. Hey. We got water here. I will say, though, I really think I am liquidated, because I really drank a lot of smoothie. Find the stolen gummies. Oh, no. Where? Oh. Oh my god. Hey, Nana. Here's my thing, guys. Okay, Wizard 101, they have all these things. Sometimes they have magic. Sometimes they don't have magic. You know what they also have? Guys, they have some real magic. Why? Because watch, these boxes are going to disappear. Okay? What? Where did those boxes go? Okay, that's insane. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. That's the most magical thing I've ever seen. Okay. How am I feeling about a Nana fight? I don't know. Probably fine. Here's the thing, guys. Nana, hey, this world, I think I think the hardest part of Carmel is there's three like they're not bosses, but they're like judges. There's literally the judge, right? There's the Quaker, and then there's the copycat. And I think those are by far the hardest fights. I'm stunned. That's okay. It's rude, but okay. I don't think that just a base Stormlord would do enough damage. But part of me is like, what is this guy gonna do? Okay, he dispelled myth on me. I'm gonna be honest here. I think it's really interesting to give someone a dispel myth spell. Or like you know, like I mean, it kind of makes sense, but you would think that they would give him like a dispel at least like spirit schools, because like, okay, what? So 1 out of 7 times he's gonna be right about a wizard. Like, is that really worth? That seems a little crappy of odds. I'm gonna be honest here. And you know what? You know what? I think a King of Taurus will do enough damage. I think a base King of Taurus will do 4K. Guys, I think the math. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay, and you know what? Guys, Gladam Storm. Ironically, Gladam Storm in this fight. Okay, because there's, guys, first it was 1 out of 7 schools. Not a big deal. All of a sudden it was, what, 3 out of 7 schools? I could have gone bamboozled. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, 6. Guys, I was like, oh, I need 4,000. Look at that, 6,400. Okay. First minion dealt with. Second minion won't be hard. I just need to convert. I guess I bet Nana has, what, 70% resistance? I don't like that Nana's saving up, you know, pips. It's a little intimidating. It's not terrifying. It's intimidating. Oh, here we go. Storm Prism. You know what's interesting, though? This Nana doesn't have shadow pips. Which is, I mean, that's funny, because I literally fought a shadow Nana. Is it Nana? Is it Nana or Nana? I want to say Nana, because in my head, it's Nana. But maybe it's Nana. Guys, I'm illiterate, okay? I'm illiterate. I can't read well, okay? I can't read well. That's not true. It's like kind of true. Here's my thing, guys. When I read books, I'm a skipper, okay? Through and through, I'm a skipper, okay? I'm not here, you know, if I don't know what a character's name is, if I don't know what a place located is, because I read a lot of fantasy books, so I'm gonna be honest here, I have no idea what half these people's names are. Guys, I just kind of skip through it, but in my head, it's like, like I compartmentalize who that person is, so then like I know who they are, and then it's like sometimes I'll read out loud to someone, and I get to their name, and I will have been like 700 pages in. Guys, I've read this person's name 6,000 times. I have read their locations. I have literally no idea. I have no idea when I live. Thank you. Not even stressed, guys. Not even stressed. I've read their name about 6,000 times. I go to read their name again, but out loud, I have literally no idea. I pause. Okay, I look like a fool. I butcher it. Yeah, fantasy books is the best genre in my opinion. Mark the Undead, you are getting no pushback from me. You're only getting, because I agree. I wholeheartedly agree that, oh. Okay, okay. Sorry, sorry guys. My sister texted, and okay. I agree. Fantasy books by far best books. Here's what I would say. Do I think it's the best genre? I would say it's my favorite genre, and I really, really enjoy it, and it's really, really hard for me to not say that it's my favorite genre on the planet, and honestly, it kind of is. I will say I also like sci-fi, like a little bit of sci-fi and a little bit of fantasy, but really fantasy. And I will also say, Mark, that I'm a fantasy writer through and through. I've read a fair amount of fantasy. I've read a lot of big series, really love them to death. But I'm glad. But here's my question, Mark. What is your favorite fantasy series? Or what's your favorite fantasy book? It doesn't have to be a series. I do feel like fantasy, you know, usually it's a serial thing. I feel like usually we're doing series, but like, you know, give or take. Oh, thank you. Moose. Guys, I love a moose. Oh my, I don't know what it is. I think I just like big animals. I just think that big animals entertain me, and I think that, guys, I'm gonna be honest here. I would love a Great Dane. If I had to choose an animal, I would love a Great Dane. I don't actually want a Great Dane because the amount of money it costs to feed them is ridiculous. But like, it's basically a horse, right? It's a mini horse that seems really cuddly and really big. Guys, I just think the concept of having a dog that's essentially the size of me would kind of be my favorite thing in the world. My favorite series is Percy Jackson, The Heroes of Olympus. Now, you say in the Heroes of Olympus. Is that because that's the second Percy Jackson series? Is that the first one? Heroes of Olympus. Where they introduced the Roman side. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's your favorite is when they introduced the Roman side. Here's the real tea. Mark, I read all of Percy Jackson. I did, a long time ago. I don't know where I stopped. I stopped at some point in the Roman side because I just got old. I mean, I just got older and it just wasn't my thing. But I don't know where I stopped. I met the Hades twins, which I'm pretty sure is the Roman side. I met the, wrong deck, right deck, bada bing, bada boom. Let me look this up. Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus. Okay. I didn't mean to click that, but that's fine. Son of Neptune, the Mark of wait. The Lost Hero, I definitely read. Son of Neptune, I've definitely read. The Mark of Athena, I'm pretty sure I read. Oh my god, guys, cheap views. Oh, wait, I don't even know if you guys can see that, TBH, because it's like, this is the Banivator. More like it's banned. Mark of Athena, I read. House of Hades, I read. The Blood of Olympus. Oh, is the Blood of Olympus really the last one? Oh. Either I read the Blood of Olympus or I never read the Blood of Olympus. Wow, I might have actually, straight up, I actually might have finished the series. Let's see. Crew members of the Argo have made their progress in their quest. They still seem no closer to defeating the Earth Mother Gaia. Athens, the friends know that the huge, oh. I don't know. I don't know if I read. I think I probably read the Blood of Olympus. I'm gonna be honest here. I assume I read it too. I probably just finished the series. It's just been so long that in my head. But does he have a new Percy Jackson series? What's the Kane? Oh, did you read the Kane Chronicles? Because the Kane Chronicles were good. I think the Kane Chronicles are by far my favorite. Have you read the newer books? Rick is lots of characters from the Roman side, and Percy is doing some challenges so he and Annabeth can go to college. I have not read that at all. What's the sun? Oh, I am not. I'm gonna be honest here. It depends, because here's the thing. There's nothing against, what do you call it? YA, young adult fantasy or whatever. I have nothing against that. I just think that I just don't think that, here's my question. Is it written for an adult audience or is it written again for kids? Because my thing is with Percy Jackson is like, I've tried like re-looking at the books and I said, this is written for children. And I can see that this is written for children and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not that it's a bad book. It's just as an adult, it just doesn't connect with me in the same way. Cause there's other things that I would rather experience in a book. And that's just like my thing. So it's like, here's the thing. I love new books, but is it like YA or is it more like adult. Oh. Oh my god, the god Apollo is cast down. Oh, that's kind of funny. Oh, actually the Hidden Oracle? I think I read the Hidden Oracle. Low key, that sounds familiar. Okay. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe. Because I read a fair amount, or I listened to an audiobook. I'm also an audiobook listener. Not that I've listened to many on audiobook right now, because don't get me wrong, I love an audiobook. I just don't have the time, because I just don't spend a lot of time, like, I really don't. Because guys, like today I went to work, I did a video, I fell asleep, I woke up, and then I'm streaming, and then I'm gonna go to bed. Which, how do I feel about that? Good. I wish I could fit in a workout. However, I would also acknowledge, guys, I am so sore, it's insane. Because guys, I didn't go to the gym for essentially, I think, a month and a half.
Did you get the...
And guys, here's the thing. Did I expect myself to be perfectly prepared after a month and a half to be able to just go to the gym instantly? No, I didn't. Okay, I didn't. That would be unreasonable. However, did I expect myself to be able to at least do my workout? Yeah, I did. And I had to tap out, which is honestly depressing. The fact that I reread Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief series, it seems very tame. The Hero of Olympus was a bit more grown up, but I know, but now I want something more graphic to say. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think that, like, you know, also, Rick Riordan as an author got better at writing. Like, I mean, I think it's important to, and that's like a thing. It's like, you know, if you look at series, usually authors' series get better because they get better at writing and they're older. I mean, I think that Aragon is a little, I think Christopher Paolini, I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. I can't really judge writers. I don't really have an opinion. But I know that Christopher Paolini is definitely someone who, he wrote Aragon. Aragon, people are obsessed with. And then his later works, I don't think people are nearly care as much. So that's a little rough for him. But generally, I would say authors get better. I don't necessarily need something more graphic. Like, I don't really need, I guess I like a fight scene in fantasy. But I'm gonna be honest here. I think fight scenes in fantasy books are a little, like, hit or miss. I like problems that they have to come up with solutions. Because the honest truth is, like, a fight scene, finding something with sugar and spice to make to make something nice to read. Ah, there you go. Well, here's my question. Mark, I would say, have you, and I want to clarify here, Mark, this is the most biased take ever in here. Mark, have you ever heard of Brandon Sanderson? Because Brandon Sanderson is a fantasy author who I kind of live and die by. And not necessarily that I think he's the most prolific author ever. I don't. But I think his books are really good, and I think it's really good fantasy, and it's by far one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. Because Mark, I would say if you're looking, I don't know, I guess you didn't necessarily say you're looking for new books, but if you are, you really cannot go wrong with Brandon Sanderson. Okay, you really cannot. Like, absolutely goated through and through. What quest are we on? We are on What's the Farm? All right, where are we? Carmela. Wizard 101. Carmela, main quest, Wizard 101. Nibelheim, Gutenstadt, Black Intash, Candy Corn Farm. Oh my god, guys, look, they're apple, what are they, Brundles? Brundle. I don't know what a Brundle is. It sounds British. Brundle. Well, there's the Isbard Kingdom Brunel, which is a 19th century something. Which book from Brandon would you recommend I start with? Okay, Mark. Okay. Here's the question. It depends on what you're looking for. There's a few series, and it depends kind of what you're looking for and what's your vibe. But the two series I would recommend is either The Way of Kings, which I don't actually the Stormlight Archives, either the Stormlight Archives or Mistborn. I don't actually know what Mistborn as a total series is called. I just know the first book. Now, here's what I would say. The Way of Kings, Stormlight Archives are very big books that are very long. In fact, one of his books is actually on the floor over there. Oh, you can kind of see it. You see right underneath my light. I know it's very tiny, but like it's propping up on my lights. Oh, hello, Quality. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you had an absolutely wonderful stream. If you're not still streaming, or if you were you streaming? Actually, you might have not been streaming. Actually, I didn't think I saw you streaming. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. I hope everything's going great for you. The Way of Kings is super long, and they're like 900, 1,000 page books. There's 5 of them currently. Highly, highly recommend. Mistborn, each book is less. It's like 300, 400 pages. They're like, they're sagas. Like there's the first series, it's the same powers, but the first 3 books happen in one time period. The next 4 books happen in another time period. And then he's going to write another 4 books that are going to happen in essentially space age. Or I mean, maybe FTL technology. I'm not 100% sure. And so they're both really good. It just depends kind of what your vibe is. Stormlight, Mistborn, and Way of Kings noted. I wonder if Barnes and Nobles have, oh, okay. Well, Way of Kings is the first book of the Stormlight Archives, and to clarify, Mark, Barnes and Nobles will have them. Let me clarify. Barnes and Nobles will have a wall dedicated to these, okay? Brandon Sanderson is not like ooh, guys, here's some special fantasy author. No, Brandon Sanderson is a very, very popular, very, very, like, big author. He has his fantasy wall, okay? He has his fantasy wall. Let me see. 1 second. Now, guys, I read a lot of books on my Kindle, okay? I'm a big Kindle reader. I love Kindles, but for example, here's one of Brandon Sanderson's books. This is Brandon Sanderson, Words of Radiance. I believe it is book 4. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a thickums. Obviously, acknowledge that this is like tiny profile, right? So it's not very big. As you can see, obviously, you know, I opened the book a few times. But it's very good. Very good. And like, this is just an example of it. So Stormlight is a series of the making Way of Kings the book to start. Yes. Yeah. So Way of Kings is the first book in this series. I give up, guys. You know what? I give up on making that book stand up. But yeah, so that's that. And then Mistborn is the first book in, I believe, I don't know, it's a Mistborn series. And now I just want to say one thing, Mark. That is my personal favorite thing. Here's the cool thing. Mistborn and The Way of Kings, they happen in the same universe. Okay? Not that they're the same books, not that a lot of things are similar about them. However, they happen in the same universe, the universe called the Cosmere. And that's what I think is really dope. And it's really, really cool. Because it's like, oh, God. And I also, here's my thing. Here's my big thing about him as an author in general. As a fantasy reader, my preference is for books that have unique magic systems. Because the honest truth is, guys, I don't need The Hobbit. Okay, I don't need I mean, not that The Hobbit's really that magic. Well, it's like, guys, unique magic systems are all I really care about because I think that's by far the most interesting part of it. I think the magic part usually to me is one of the most interesting parts and like how they have powers. And sometimes their powers are cool and sometimes their powers are boring. I love a book series exists within a world themselves. Oh, Mark, I cannot emphasize, and here's the thing too, Mark, he also has standalone books, like the, Triss of the Emerald Sea happens within the world, but its own standalone book. That's a really good book. Triss of the Emerald Sea, I highly, highly recommend. He has other ones. It's just, I like him a lot. I like what he's doing a lot. It just really is good. Now, here's my question, guys. Am I gonna try to see if I get a shad? I'm not gonna get a shad soon. But I also don't think 2 blades is gonna do enough to do 10K. But you know what? We're gonna try it because I'm a little worried we're gonna die anyways. But yeah, quality. Brandon Sanderson. Because his books all happen in the same universe. It's just, it's so good. He also has like lore book. Like he has books that are also a little bit more lore focused within his series that he releases. Also, if you ever get his audiobooks, it's a little hit or miss for me. I'm gonna be honest here, but his second series of Mistborn, right? So basically Mistborn Saga 2, I think it's called, or something like that. So an audiobook is usually read, an audiobook is usually read by one person who reads and voices every character, and there's not sound effects. He partnered with some company who has multiple voice actors and does like sound effects while you're like listening to the audiobook. Do I think it's a little gimmicky? Yeah, I think it's a rough thing to transition to because it's just like, especially if you're not used to it, in my opinion, it's a little hit or miss. But like, in general, I think it's a very cool concept, and I think it's done pretty well. So that's like a fun thing too about the later audiobooks. 'Cause I listen to the audiobooks mostly for the second part of Mistborn. I did read, I think, the last one. But that's when I was in college. I don't know. When I was in college, it was a lot easier to listen to audiobook. I just had more time. Guys, just acknowledge that in college you have time. You know, the laptop I lost, I had a book I was writing. Time period, I couldn't find anything to read. Thankfully, I recovered it. Mark, that would have been tragic. That would have been the worst thing in the universe. I'm so glad you recovered it, though. And that's very exciting. That's very exciting. You couldn't find anything to read. Well, Mark, if you need more fantasy suggestions, just know I have an entire journal that's just, I mean, okay, I want to clarify. It's one page of the journal. It's dedicated to a bunch of books I've read with ratings. I have about 1 billion fantasy book recommendations. So if you finish Brandon Sanderson, you're like, oh, Twichty, I need more fantasy recommendations. I got you, okay? And I'm not saying that I know like the best ones ever. I don't think I do. I just think that I know good ones. I think I've read a fair amount and I've read good ones. I haven't read, and I'm gonna be honest here, guys, I haven't read many books that are not that good, in my opinion. And I think that's because I look at the reviews before I just pick up a book. I will say that books I read tend to be longer because I'm not that I don't like a short book. It's just, guys, price to entertainment value, okay? A $30, $40 book that's 300 pages, nothing, and you know, writing is really hard. I respect the author. That book that's 300 pages is not going to last me very long, okay? And then it's going to be a little bit like, I paid a lot of money and I'm barely reading anything. How do I feel about having to go fight the chocolate moose again? Not good. How do I feel about being level 143? I don't know. All I know, guys, is that max level is 170. Okay? And we're only 27 levels away from max, which is honestly a little terrifying. Guys, I really cannot believe it. My storm, guys, I'm doing it. My storm is making it. Obviously, guys, more power to my storm, okay? Guys, Nora Engelhart, okay? A real one goes out for a real one, but, God, I cannot believe it. Okay, let's calm down here, Moose. Oh, you know what I like? It's just, I really appreciate that the moose has the seam going down the middle of its model. Oh, is that what a moose sounds like, guys? Do you think a moose goes, moo? I feel like a moose would have a deeper voice. I don't know why, but in my head, I'm like, you know, be like, moo. I guess okay, guys, I'm gonna be real here. I think I made the same sound twice. And guys, this is why I shouldn't be a voice actor. Okay, sound effects, not my gift. Here's my thing, guys. I think if you can't do a British accent, like, what do you hope to do? Okay, if you can't do a British accent, what are you really gonna be able to do? Oh, okay. It's a fantasy book in medieval times where people have magical powers similar to the 7 schools of magic in Wizard 101. Oh, okay. Okay, Mark, that sounds very cool. That sounds very cool. I like that premise. That's a good premise. Here's the thing, Mark. Any point, I'll read your drafts, okay? I don't know what your plan is. I'll read your drafts. I'll do it. I'm not saying I can read them quickly. I want to clarify here, okay? I want to clarify here. But not that you necessarily want someone to read your drafts too, either. I also want to acknowledge something. I want to very clearly pull something up too. Guys, I cannot spell. I cannot do grammar. I can't do jack all, okay? Physically impossible for me. Not physically. Dare I say both physically and mentally impossible for me, okay? So there's just a little side note. Okay, guys, I can't edit. I can't edit for crap. Why, guys? Because here's what happens. I read stuff and my brain fixes it. Why? Because my brain's not concerned about what's right or wrong. Okay, my brain is just here to make progress, okay? And you know what? It makes progress, okay? I read through things. Who cares there's 10 spelling errors, okay? As long as I get with the messages. However, I will acknowledge. Guys, what's funny is I'm like, I write messages to people, and I'm like, you guys should understand them. And when people don't understand, I'm like, guys, what? Oh, because I had some misspellings, my grammar didn't make sense. You didn't understand me? Guys, sometimes people, especially at work, write messages to me, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this literally makes no sense. But it's like, I don't want to respond with question mark, because that's like, it's not what you do in a work setting. You don't, but it's like, I guess I could always ask them to clarify. But really what happened was someone told a joke that was legitimately funny at work. They sent a joke. It was legitimately funny. Everyone in the chat laughed. And then they followed up the joke with a second joke that not a single person reacted to because no one had any idea what they were talking about. And I felt so bad, but I don't know. I guess I could have just reacted and laughed at it anyways. But I was like, honestly, part of me was like, I wasn't sure if it was a joke. And B, it just wasn't funny. And I was just like, I just felt bad because the first part was funny. But some people can be born with 2 types normally, and everyone is born with 1 type, but the main character can use all of them, but starts off without any of them. Okay, hey, and that's a good trope. And here's the only thing I would say: don't be scared of a trope. Also, Mark, not that you asked, but Brandon Sanderson, he has some writing classes. He has some videos on YouTube where he talks about writing fantasy and writing stuff. If you care, I highly recommend checking them out. I've actually watched some of his writing videos, just because I kind of like him a lot. Dare I say, a fangirl. And so I was kind of excited to see what his perception does. But I liked, that's a real one, okay? Guys, you know, it's Avatar. Not really Avatar, but kind of Avatar. But also, Mark, I also wrote I wrote a fantasy series. I wrote the beginning of a fantasy book in like 5th grade, which had not a similar premise, arguably a very different premise. But there was a concept of most people could only have 1, but then some people could have 2. But it was about magical butterflies that you captured with magical nets, then you stuck into your body, and then you gained powers. And it was a whole hullabaloo. Do I give myself props for having essentially a unique magic system? Yes, I do. Guys, because, hey, if you ever read a book that has magical butterflies that get stuck inside people and give them powers, okay, just let them know that I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming with my lawsuit, okay, because they're stealing my ideas. But I will acknowledge it. Here's the thing. The concept of it was unique. Do I think that their actual powers they would have gone from butterflies? No, I think it would have been like Avatar. Like, I don't really think the powers they would have gone from butterflies were that unique. But the concept of the butterflies were kind of unique. I probably should. I feel like I get descriptive in parts that I don't need it. I mean, I think that's just, Mark, here's the thing. I think fantasy writing, some writers are really descriptive. And if you want to be descriptive, be descriptive. Here's the thing. I would say write what you enjoy. Write what you enjoy, okay? Write what you enjoy first, because here's like, I think in my head, it's like, if you're at any point having to change what you're writing because you're trying to make it for someone else, then you're probably going to lose interest in writing it. And I feel like first, try to finish the book, write what you enjoy, and then afterwards, then let's say you want to get published, you send to a bunch of publishers, let's say obviously, Mark, someone will want to publish it for you, then they can come in and be like, well, these parts are too descriptive, and they can axe that out. Excuse me. I would say write what you enjoy, because I think passion comes through, guys. That's what they say in everything. Do things you enjoy, because the passion and the interest will come through. Okay? I will acknowledge, Mark, that I think some fantasy books, sometimes I'm banging my head against a wall. Okay? I want to skip. I want to skip so badly, because I'm like, guys, I just don't care. We're describing too much. Let's move on. But I also think that's just a part of fantasy is, I think as you describe things and you dive deeper into concepts, it helps people imagine the world. It helps people imagine the characters, and I think there's a power to that I think is maybe like a cumulative something that happens over a book. Like, right, it happens as you read, you are able to imagine it more and more. And maybe that's something that you kind of that's not actively acknowledged by a reader, but is a subconscious effect of being more descriptive. I will say, I mean, I also just think it depends. I would say, if you have someone read your book, I think it's really easy, in my opinion, as a reader to tell if something, I can tell when I like a book and I don't like a book, because it just depends how much I remember I'm reading a book and I'm like, wow, this is dragging. For example, Brandon Sanderson's most recent book, Wind and Words of Truth, I think the first part of it, there's a middle part that, in my opinion, dragged on. It dragged on, and I know it dragged on because I was a little bit like, ugh. And also this other series, this other book I read, it dragged on. But there's some books I love to death, one of my favorite books of all time. And I read it in a night, okay? Did not drag on at all. Absolutely loved it, through and through. Chef's kiss, perfect book. Fight scenes or emotional scenes, I think it's fine, but some conversations between characters seem to trail on. And that's you know what, Mark? I mean, I have no idea. I think that's just hard. I mean, that's fair. I think it's hard too, because it's how do you write a real conversation that doesn't that's entertaining but doesn't drag on? And I think that's probably an insanely hard thing to do, right? Because it's conversations drag, right? The way people guys, people aren't concise, okay? People are not concise for the life of them, okay? I'm not concise. God forbid, I'm actually probably one of the least concise people on the planet. But it's, as a reader, you don't really want to read people rambling, because then you're going to get annoyed. But then it's also you want to have a real conversation. So in my head, I completely get it. And I think that, there's a balance you'll find. And guys, at the top of the hour, every hour, around 3-minute ad break. If you don't want to experience that ad break, use the Twitch Prime regular subscription to enjoy an ad-free stream. Get access to awesome emotes and support me. Watching me still supports me, and I deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Prism. Okay? Yeah, you don't want to stop it abruptly, but at the same time, like, you don't... Yeah, I think it's just striking a balance of, like... I think it's just, like, you know... Here's the thing. This is why I can never actually be a writer. Because theoretically, you know, some people's suggestion when it comes to writing is you should know how your book ends before you start writing the book, right? Because the concept is if you know where it ends, then, like, you know what you're writing to, and you're not, like, gonna ramble and just kind of float. But the thing is, I don't like endings. So I just don't want to think about the ending of my book. If I ever, like, wrote a book. That just would not bring me joy. But I think it's like, you know, like, what's the point of the conversation? Is the point of the conversation to make a character seem evil? Is it to make him seem good? Is it to bring an important piece of information to the plot? Like, I think it's to acknowledge what the point of the conversation is, and then make sure that, you know, you're getting there within a decent time. Something like that. I don't really know. Also, this, I mean, you could also, there's the South Park authors, not authors, I guess directors. They also did a thing about storyboarding, but they were more about episodic thing. But they were just saying that, like, every event should have a reason it continues into the next event. Okay, there should never be... I mean, obviously, guys, we all know the hero's journey. The hero's journey is a very important part of writing. I mean, I know how it ends in the major plot points in between, but I'm struggling to connect them. And you know what? I think that's valid, and I think that's amazing that you know how it ends, Mark. I think that's real. I think that's very good, okay? Because you'll figure out how to connect them, okay? You know, here's the thing, too, guys. Writing takes time. It takes energy. Oh, I forgot they're collecting their sweat. Oh, I'm supposed to take a photo. Oh my god, guys. Not the sweat of the gobblers. Oh, and then I free them. I still... Isn't their sweat, like, yummy?
The gobblers have been dumped down.
Okay, see, and this is where, you know, the animation, we really couldn't get the gobblers running away.
What were you all doing?
Oh, no. Oh, excuse me. It's rude the gobblers are attacking me. They really don't need to, okay? That's very rude. You know, Augustus, Mikey, Veruca. Oh, guys, this is just Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Augustus Gloop, something in regular Coop. Veruca's. I don't actually know the Veruca Salt song. This is, if you're wondering, it's Augustus Gloop. He fell in the fudge pond and got sucked up because he was eating too much FUD. Mikey TV, he got put into the TV, right? Because he was obsessed with television and he wanted to be in that world. Veruca Salt was the spoiled girl who said, "Daddy, I want it now," right? Veruca Salt, obviously, the famous squirrel scene where, you know, they tested her head and they said, "That's a bad nut," and they threw her down the hole. And then Charlie, obviously, we all know Charlie. Charlie was the poor boy who got this golden ticket, and then theoretically Willy Wonka gave him it. You can also, guys, there's also Charlie, there's like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, the Glass Elevator, which is like the second book, or I don't know, it's like a side series. It's not bad. It's a little wonky, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really remember it that well, but there's like a whole thing. Did I watch the most recent Charlie in the Chocolate Factory movie with, what is it? What's his name? Timothy Chalamet? No, I didn't. Why, guys? Because honestly, I feel like, I don't know, it's Charlie, it's been done a lot. Okay, it's been done a lot, and it's just really not that magical to me anymore. I will also say, I'm pretty sure I don't know if I was in Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, but I've seen the play about 60,000 times, because at one point my mother did Charlie in the Chocolate Factory all the time. So it's just like I've seen it in a billion times, which is how I know these characters. I would acknowledge he blocked my crit, but guess what? Okay, this makes me feel better. I was about to say he lived. I was being annoyed that he lived. I was gonna say he didn't live, but honestly, he barely lived. I don't think he's hitting me. I didn't see a thing on me. Guys, I love when they don't hit me. I do not like, here's my thing. Why are the gobblers two noises they attack with? A fart, a wet fart, and them slithering their hands together. Like, I feel like, you know, could we have chosen like a less gross sound? Just like a little bit. I feel like it's a little rude to the gobblers, okay? I feel like they're already, you know, the world's not really their friend, and then we're kind of giving them gross sounds, a little ooga booga. I have a part where the main, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I think doing different perspectives is gonna make it both harder and easier. Yeah.
Which
Okay.
means we must now
Here's the
go
thing.
into the factory itself.
Don't
The door
take
is
my
bound to
opinion.
this
I
side.
will
We
say
can use Esther's key to get in.
I'm a little bit over multiple POVs. Multiple POVs actually cause me to rage because I just need to